not think negatively.
Mhm.
Training yourself to not think negatively is just it's absolutely necessary out here. I feel because there's just everyone's on the fence about everything. I feel, and there's just a lot of wishy-washiness. And
Mhm.
you know how you can work with buyers and sellers and go pre-market, and then they end up not selling, and it's just like, well, damn, I wasted a bunch of time, you know. But like all that will come back around to you. You just have to follow up on those actions that you've done with your sellers. I failed a lot recently in the past 12 months about just like I'll have a good listing appointment, I'll go out, and then my follow up to the listing appointment might be kind of crappy, and
Uh-huh.
like I think I felt like that was just from the mindset, like just like, hey, they're probably not going to list anyway, or they don't seem serious, right? Like there's the brain has a way of protecting itself, and kind of like, so you really just have to look out for that, man. Like you just gotta, the brain will trick you into scaling down, so to speak. It doesn't want to
Yeah.
work. It doesn't want you working too hard, I think. Right? So, but I work myself to death, and I just think that having a good mindset is just the key of it, man. It's just I've been tested so much recently. I just feel like it's definitely it's a unspoken, not an unspoken, but just an undersung thing. Like just the mindset. You got to go back to your basis and just get your mindset right first. I feel like because I've started recently having a lot of like good follow up, confirmations that we're going to listing, getting paperwork signed, and I'm starting to clean up in areas where I was used to be very, very messy. And I think I attribute that little bit of like success recently just to a mindset shift, and having a good positive day is a win for me right now. You know what I'm saying? So just
Mhm.
having a good positive, lead gen day, sticking to your schedule, like just sticking to the day to day is what I'm doing, man. I'm like monitoring my thoughts. Just because I realize how quickly it's easy how quickly it's easy to get sent downstream into a negative place, and you don't even know it.
Yes.
It could be the people you're around. It could like a lot of times it's that, man. It's like the people you're around, the type of clients you're dealing with. Maybe you don't deal with that client that is going to bait and switch you, or whatever the case may be. I've been personally going after everything just because I'm trying to get some systems, reinvigorate my old systems. Uh, and I don't know, it's working. We got a couple confirmations. Anytime I have two closings and two listings in a month, I'm happy because that's 30 deals a year. That's pretty good income. And that's a good way to battle back after having an 8, 9 unit year. You want to sell more. So I'm just
Yeah.
trying to double, if not triple, my production in 2026 that I did. But I just realized it's going to take a whole year of like good habits and good mindset. It's not something I can just turn on right now. So I'm really just
Yeah.
ramping up to try to get ready for 2026 too.
Well, it's the perfect time to do it. And I got a couple of things, because I was kind of taking notes as you were chatting there, and you had some thoughts on a number of things you said. And by the way, I'm recording this. I just hit record because this is a great conversation to have, mindset, especially when it comes to
Yeah, dude.
motivation.
Yeah, man.
So
Absolutely.
the follow up, like talked about follow up on the listing appointments, like right. That how many listing appointments do we get? Like whether they're going to sell today or sell in um a year, 2 years, right? Like you follow up on that appointment and have a strong follow up plan, ultimately that's going to get you the deal. I can tell you so
Yeah.
many stories. Like, I don't know how much of my story but like I knew nobody in Atlanta, right? I built my business from cold calling. And I can tell you specifically, I mean, I had so many,
Right.
so many transactions I've done, deals I've done. But like, for instance, one gentleman I connected with, he said, hey, I've got my friend, he's a realtor, but you can stay in touch. So this was from a cold call. I kept calling him every 3 months on like clockwork.
Right.
After a year and a half of that, he said, Tony, he called me up one day, says, Tony, I want you to sell my home. My friend doesn't call me to help me take care of my home. You do. I want you to sell
Yeah.
it. A couple months after that, and this is
Right.
during COVID,
Right.
he calls me up and says, Tony, I got a letter from an investor. And I've literally never met this man face to face. He said, I got a letter from an investor. Can you negotiate this? It's just pretty much about what I want to sell at. And that way I don't have to fix up the home like we talked about. House is way south of the airport. I didn't want to go that far anyway for a $200,000, 250 sale, right? I called the investor,
Right.
negotiate the deal, put more money in my client's pocket, and we closed with the mail away closing because it was during COVID. So I sold his home without ever
Damn.
having even met the man because of follow up. And here's the thing, he said, Tony, I'm buying after we do my taxes, I'm buying my new house. So he was buying all the way down in Noonan. I'm in Dunwoody. I showed
Yeah.
him two houses, right?
Right.
And then started sending showing assistants. The showing assistant
Yep.
showed him less homes, and we put him under contract for a $700,000 home. So it was, I did $1 million in
Dude,
transactions with a
see?
man who I met twice and went to the closing table with. And it was all because of my follow up. And so having that, because how many
And
listing
like your
appointments do we,
follow,
hmm? So what?
right? Yeah, yeah. Like listing appointments.
I
No, I
was
was
going to
gonna
say, so,
say like in the year and a half of follow up, dude. Like that, a lot of people give up. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
And you just don't give
yes,
up. And I think that's a big one. And people are so quick to give up.
absolutely.
Holding
And that's
on
the thing.
for the glory.
It's,
I'm holding on for the glory, baby. You know?
it's one of the average salesperson follows up 1.5 times. 1.5 times. You need 10 to 12 connections to even get the chance to make a deal happen. So it's like, how many listing appointments do you
Yeah.
get? Right. Having a strong follow up on that is almost more important than having the strong follow up in general. Right. Like, I mean, they're both incredibly important, but that's
I
where, like,
agree.
again, like it's right. That's further down the funnel. And if you give up after the listing appointment, then the agent who just happened to be in the right place, right time. Another one you talked about is like being
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
in
And we
mental.
got.
Hmm? Go ahead.
But no, I was just coughing. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
No,
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 I was gonna say,
you're good.
yeah. I got you. Another one you talked about, being in the how do you flip your mindset when you're in a bad space, and we talk about, and I tell this story a lot too. Reframing our perspective, right? After my divorce, I had a terrible deal on my divorce, and I'm not here to villainize my ex-wife. We have a great relationship, but the attorneys are the ones that made it really bad in that scenario. So I got a terrible deal, and uh, ultimately I was
Right.
upset. I was upset. I was one morning I was tired because I had to work between real estate and my other job. I was working 80 hours a week as a single dad, and I was just exhausted one morning washing dishes,
Yeah.
and I was tired and depressed. And I just remembered I was like, all of a sudden I flipped my perspective on it, and I said, I'm proud of how I'm stepping up, all the things I'm doing to take care of my daughter that her mother's not
Man.
doing, that I'm having to make happen. I'm proud of all the work I'm putting in. And all of a sudden, my I went from tired and depressed to excited and energized, and it was just by reframing my perspective
Wow.
on what I was doing in
Wow.
life. Right, and we focus on what we don't have, especially if you're goal oriented. Right, like I'm super goal oriented. I'm like, I want to get this, I want to get this, I want to get this. I'm not there yet, and I'm focusing. I'm not there yet, rather than what are all these things I've achieved, and all the things that I'm doing to get there. And it's easy to forget about all the good things you are doing in your
Man.
life and in your business,
Right. And what you've done. So for me, it's like I was like having kind of a bad day, and I was cleaning out my garage. I have a finished garage, it's my home office or whatever. And then I'm like, oh wait a minute, these are my old rewards. And I'm like, damn, I did almost $17 million as an individual agent. You need to be proud of that. The fact that
Yeah.
you even did, and I get it. It was a couple years ago, but
Mm-hmm.
like, man, like this has been crazy shenanigans we've been going through, man. And I feel like if I've done it before, I can get back there and do it again. And I'm really like, I don't want to like compare myself to my old self, but my
Yeah.
old self was just a madman. He was just getting after it. But I think that because Tony, I'm also a single dad. I've been a single dad for a long time. I've been paying child support. I'm 39 years old. I've been paying child support for 11, 12 years, man. And and so like I totally get it in like just having that mindset shift instead of being like, what don't I have? It's just like what do I have? And to me, it's such an individual battle of just having a good day. And my coach used to
Mm-hmm.
tell me, you can have a bad day, just don't have a bad week, man. Just don't have a bad week. So it's just having that mindset on a day-to-day basis and just like reviewing. Did we have how many good days did we have this week? Oh, we have 4 good days. Okay, I have one lazy day where I kind of half-assed it. Pardon my French. But I
Yeah,
just think that
I got language all the time.
so I'm in
Yeah, and
I I'm in I'm a similar situation, man, where it's like I've been going through court custody for 2 years, and like it's all nasty and it didn't have to be. So just ignoring that and focusing on the business is just been such a challenge for me. And
Uh-huh.
it's real life stuff. It's not something that everyone goes through, but if you go through it, it can be very trying and you can feel like you're on an island sometimes, man. So just that's why I'm fighting to try to get back in the office. And that's why I was like, shoot, I'm just gonna hop on this Monday call because I haven't really interacted and engaged with my broker in a long time, and I really want to. I feel like you guys are a haven for production, in a way. If you get in the office
Uh-huh.
and you talk to people, you guys are so welcoming and they have an abundance of knowledge if you just choose to engage the broker. And I think that's just pivotal, especially when you're first starting out. But even as a seasoned veteran or whatever you want to call it, right? I feel like 10 years of experience is still kind of a rookie in real estate compared to a lot of agents because they've been in the game for a long time.
Hmm.
But you know, you can't really consider yourself. I don't know. I heard from one person that you can't consider yourself successful until you've gotten it all, lost it, and then gotten it back. So like the mindset is just a big thing to keep you from because life's always going to deal you lemons. It's going to deal you cards that don't fit your deck, so to speak. So you just got to be able to maneuver and work through it. And I just can't reiterate the mindset because you look like you said, Tony. You look at everything differently, man. Like literally, somebody could say a sentence in English, and your mindset of negativity would think they're being sarcastic. But if you have an optimistic mindset, you might see the sentiment in their statement. Like it honestly confuses you when you get so down on yourself or you feel like a goal is impossible. You just got to take it one day at a time and 1 week at a time, and just surround yourself with like-minded folks like Tony and the brokerage and all that. So I mean, that's what
Hmm.
that's what I'd recommend. That's what I'm fighting to get in my life right now is just more engagement with the brokerage and utilizing the tools. And
Yeah.
but we've had a lot of listings that kind of come off the woodwork. So I feel like the rates are dropping, and
Hmm.
I think 2026 is going to be a hell of a year.
I do too. Yeah, I was oddly enough this last week I was trying to take off. It was supposed to be a staycation, didn't happen. I worked every single day. And but I had multiple people reach out to me, Tony. I think we're ready to list. This is again, it's key to follow up story here. One of them was from a cold call. I've been talking to him for 6 years, right? But the other one, it was my second listing. And I went door knocking around the listing for the open house, and I met this woman. She had bought their house. They had bought less than a year prior, and I said, "Well, has your agent talked to you one time since they bought?" They said, "Nope." I said, "Well, really? My goal is to be a long term resource, kind of stay in touch, help you take care of your home." Sure thing, no problem. Absolutely. Right. So I stayed in touch the last 5, 6 years now, whatever that's been, since that time. And I even helped her. Like at one point, she got an assessment. They assessed her house at like almost 600,000, and it was probably worth 450. It's a townhome. And she said, "Tony, can you help me with this?" So I sent her all the comps from when they assessed, when it sold, and I said, I even did a whole write up saying if she told me she wanted to sell her house at 550 right now, I wouldn't take the listing, because it's so far out of what is the right price. She ended up getting she won her assessment challenge. So she reached out to me this last week and said, "Tony, we want to get our house on the market by the beginning of October." Awesome.
Damn,
So
man, that's
yeah,
awesome. Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah.
that's a power of follow up. Again, and that also shows how many realtors are bad at follow up because what I think the statistic is 87 or 83, somewhere between 80 and 90% of homeowners, sellers say they use the same agent. Only about 12 to 14% do, and it's because that follow up is so bad. But another
That's
thing you
huge.
mentioned, yeah, you talked about was you brought up gratitude, and this is something I want to finish the project. I fell off on it. I was doing 100 days of gratitude, and the whole thing was it didn't have to be 100 days straight, but it was just to reach out to 100 people in my world via video, and just let them know I'm grateful for them in my life. Um,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I got to about 50 days, actually. And then most of those were almost 50 days straight. And then, one thing after another fell off and I fell off. And I was like, I'm going to finish this project because I've been saving all these videos. I'm going to and eventually post them all. But, it's kind of, it's
Yeah.
crazy when you express gratitude to other people. Like there was one specifically, like one of my friends, who's one of my good friends from one of my early 20s and in college days, I'd reached out to him, sent him a gratitude video. And he's like a meathead, like he's a big, workout guy like I am, and he's not an emotional guy. And he
Right.
sends me a video. He sends me a video back. He's like, "Man, Tony," he's like, "This video couldn't have come at a better time." He was like, "I was literally thinking this morning, I don't have friends in my life." And he's like, "I'm getting emotional, right?" And I was like, "Man, like," but
Yeah.
and it's like that response, like, just makes me feel good about the day, right? And
Yeah.
like so many other responses like that. And so maybe when you're having a bad day or a day, just reach out to someone, telling them you're grateful for them in your life, like, and their response will probably, or even just sending it though. Every time I sent it, I was like, it was hard. A lot of more, it was hard to get it started. But
But see,
that was one
on
of
the
the.
bad days, key, like you said, doing it on the bad day, like doing the opposite of what your body's making you want to feel. Like, my body wants me to feel like I'm having a bad day today. I'm gonna break that chain and I'm gonna do something opposite of the polar opposite of what the body's trying to make me do. Like
Mhm.
feel bad, but whatever reason it might be. I just like that. That's when you said you were washing the dishes and then you just had an epiphany and then you just kind of flipped it over. Like I do. Well, I think our mind has the ability to do that, where we can literally just say, you know what, I'm not going to do this today. I'm going to be, you
Yeah.
know what, they're going to listen to me, and just the you got to be. My coach also told me you got to be careful what you tell yourself, because a lot of times inside you'll be whispering things, and those
Yep.
fleeting thoughts that are negative. That's not God. That's not the righteousness right there. That's the doubt trying to pull you down. I'm a very spiritual person, and I feel like it transcends all the way down to kind of a godly thing. And like we're here to really do service for these people. I got a friend right now that he called me up out the blue. He wants to make an offer on the house. We got the home under contract without even being listed yet. And it's like he just got through a nasty divorce, right? And he's trying to exit this chapter of his life. So I look at it as I'm helping his family, and I'm not really doing it for a paycheck. I'm doing it because they need the help. And I think if
Yeah.
you align yourself with I'm here to help, I think that's such a big thing. Like those videos you just sent, it sounds like that's kind of what you're doing. But I think I might take that approach anytime I have a negative, like I feel down about something or whatever. I'm gonna do something to show somebody else that I truly care, and just do the opposite of what that negative feeling is. That negative trigger is wanting you to feel. I think if you do the polar opposite, you can kind of like you can kind of do away with a voice if you're like building a new habit reacting to negative triggers, and that is big, because then you're invincible. You're never going to beat yourself. Like don't matter how many strokes you got on the hole, don't take yourself out the game, because you don't know what your opponent's doing. And I feel like our opponents are other agents, and a lot of agents are falling off out here. They're going into different industries. They're not motivated to do the follow up like you're doing, and I
Hmm.
think these situations can turn into a great imbalance. Like they say, get your unfair share of market share. This is a great
Yeah.
opportunity in a great environment to go do that in, because I'm getting expired and failed listing opportunities left and right, and I'm not even trying.
Awesome.
And so I just think it's a good time. It's a good time to have a good mindset when everyone else is
Hmm.
kind of like, how's the business? And the lenders
It's
all wanted to
awesome.
be below
It's
six
business is
percent,
awesome.
and it's not. The Fed's not cooperating. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It's to me, it's going great. So I mean, I got to hop off here because I got 9 o'clock. But I did just want to hop on with you, man. I know you're always up there grinding it out, and I'm like, man, I want to get a piece of that Twitch machine. I know he's doing things, and I know that you're consistent, and you're just such an optimistic, like you're a force within KW. So I definitely wanted to like hop on with you, and at least just
Yeah, I
get a
appreciate. No,
little
we
bit
had
of
a great
time with you. I never
conversation.
really talked to you
I'm
at
gonna
all, and I figured this would be
Yeah, I'm gonna throw the link up to this on the Rawls group page, and I'm gonna and the perimeter page, and I'm gonna drop it on my Motivated Realtor YouTube channel as well, man. I think we had a great conversation. I appreciate you jumping on today, man. And hey, get after it, Zach. I guess you jumped off. Well, I can't hear you.
Tony, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. Lost you for a second there.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, I saw you on.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what you said. Yeah, I said, yeah, no, I
iPhone
appreciate you jumping
6.
on. I think we had a great conversation today, man. I really appreciate it. And you got me
Yes,
motivated
sir.
to get
Yes,
after it and
sir.
get it done. All right.
Let's do it. Let's do it, Tony. All right, man.
Let it, bud.
All right, boss. Bye. Bye.